Chris Jericho is already in the ring as he is set to face Brian Pillman Jr. Sammy Guevara stands with one crutch on the outside. He doesn't seem at all interested in this match that is about to kick off this week's edition of AEW Dynamite. We get 73 for this opening segment. So Jericho, with his list of suspects that may have attacked Guevara, it's Pillman Jr. that's on the list next, and it is Chris Jericho that comes out on top in 11 minutes 52, beating Brian Pillman Jr. with the walls of Jericho, and it's a solid match. It's a 72. About that, a great heat, good wrestling. So Jericho, once again, victorious. What a little hot streak he's putting together here at the moment. All thanks to this list of suspects that he's put together who may have attacked Sammy Guevara that ruled him out of that World Title Eliminator tournament against Kenny Omega. Well, Jericho celebrates another victory. He grabs his list of suspects and ticks Brian Pillman Jr. off. Sammy Guevara seems off about all this and begins to make his way back up the entranceway with his crutch, shaking his head. Jericho looks around for Sammy and doesn't understand why he's retreating to the back so early. Jericho goes after him as we turn then to the commentary table. So up in the 70s for our first three segments of this episode of Dynamite. You can't argue with that. And what a show we have ahead. Well, JL goes on to say, it's Wednesday. You know what that means. Welcome to yet another huge episode of AEW Dynamite here on TNT and the All Elite Network. Tonight, the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament continues as Pac takes on MJF in our main event. Who will make the final? We also have the first qualifying matches for the men's casino ladder match that will take place at Double or Nothing. And speaking of the casino ladder match, it was announced that there will be a women's one also, and we'll hear more about that from Brandy Rhodes in just a moment. And gentlemen, how can we forget what happened this past Saturday at Blood and Guts in the main event? Kenny Omega attacked Moxley from behind, which was very reminiscent of Mox's debut here in AEW. Then after, Omega and the Young Bucks threw up their Too Sweet, and it seemed the Good Brothers kind of wanted in. We'll find out what that was all about, and much more here tonight on Dynamite. So, a solid 59 for the opening from our commentary team. So we're going to take a look then at our match card tonight, and it's stacked. It's Joey Janela against Jack Evans in the first men's casino ladder match qualifier. In the women's casino ladder match qualifier, it's Chris Statlander against Eva Lise. We've got tag team action. Cody Rhodes teams up with Orange Cassidy to take on Miro, the TNT champion, and Kip Sabian. The Elite are also in action after what happened at Blood and Guts, and our main event, the first semi-final of the World Title Eliminator Tournament, Pac against MJF. Footage is shown backstage after Blood and Guts. Jon Moxley walks up to the camera with a towel around his neck and his AEW World Title perched on his shoulder. He cuts a promo. Kenny Omega, well shit, aren't you looking great at the moment? Bet you feel untouchable, $1 million bucks, head up in the clouds, and why wouldn't you? Unbeaten in months, surrounded by your best buddies, and hell, suppose everything is just too sweet for you at the moment. Tonight, you sent a message. Consider it received. I hope you beat Darby next week, and whoever stands in your way in the final of this World Title Eliminator Tournament, because I can't wait to be the one to bring you crashing back down to earth. Moxley walks off with his world title over his shoulder. Gotta admit, I was expecting a higher rating than 69, but 69 still pretty solid. It's just a quick promo from Jon Moxley. I think I set this to just a minute. You know, footage taken from after the pay-per-view. The sort of promo you'd expect to be posted on AEW's YouTube channel. Well, up next we see a meeting that has been called for the women's division. They all stand around as Brandy Rhodes walks into the room with the current women's champion Toni Storm. She goes on to say, "Thank you ladies for stopping by. I want to make this quick. As you all know by now, there will be a women's casino ladder match at Double or Nothing next month. This is such a great opportunity for all of you as the winner will receive a shot at the Women's Championship. There will only be 6 in that match, and to determine those, there will be qualifying matches starting tonight. Thank you and good luck. The women's roster start discussing amongst themselves. The only woman not talking to anyone else is Tessa Blanchard, who debuted in the ring at Blood and Guts against Mickie James. She's focused on Toni Storm and her title as she exits with Brandy. Dr. Britt Baker confronts Tessa and says, "Don't even think about it. I'm next in line." A few other women hear this and begin to argue who's next for the title shot. The cameraman then decides to leave the room as security enter at the same time. It begins to get out of hand, as you'd expect. Arguments all over the shop. So, rolling into our next match of the evening, it is the first men's Casino Ladder match qualifier between Janela and Jack Evans, and it is Joey Janela that books his place, the first place in that ladder match at Double or Nothing, after beating Jack Evans in 10 minutes 21 by pinfall after a moonsault foot stomp. He was victorious on Dark alongside Matthew Justice this week in tag team action, and now he's winning here on Dynamite. Everything looking good at the moment for Janela. He's putting in those performances. Hangman Page is then seen backstage on his phone. He's watching highlights from Saturday at Blood and Guts. Kenny Omega standing in between Nick and Matt as he attacks Jon Moxley. Only one can imagine what's going through Page's head at the moment. Page seems down. He turns his phone off as both Dax and Cash enter with their tag team titles. Dax has a piece of paper which he slaps down in front of Page, saying, "Can you believe we've been fined for Saturday? When I get my hands on those Private Party boys, I swear." Page says, "Listen, you two need to stay focused ahead of this title defense against Nick and Matt. Plus, we have some unfinished business with those Death Triangle guys. Yeah, don't worry about them Young Bucks. We've beaten them once, we'll beat them again, and Death Triangle? Pooters. Anyway, suppose we best go pay this fine to Khan." Dax and Cash leave, leaving Page on his own, who goes back to watching highlights from Blood and Guts. What is going through Page's head at the moment? Is he feeling a little left out? Gonna have to wait and find out, see how this plays out with Hangman Page. Chris Jericho bursts into the Inner Circle locker room and finds Sammy Guevara sitting with his leg resting up and says, "Sammy, what the hell? You made me look an idiot out there. What's gone into you?" "Cut the shit, Chris." "Cut the shit? What are you talking about?" Sammy stands up with a pained expression and says, "I know it was you, Chris." "What do you mean you know it was me? Do I have to spell it out for you? I know it was you that attacked me. It was you that stopped me from being in that World Title Eliminator tournament." Jericho is shocked at this accusation. Sammy continues, "I know it was you because there was CCTV. I can play it back for you if you want. I have it on my phone." Jericho grabs Sammy's phone and throws it at the wall. It smashes into pieces. Sammy just laughs and says, "I'm done, Chris. With you and the Inner Circle." Sammy leaves the locker room. Jericho calls for Santana and Ortiz. There's no one there. It's just Jericho. What is going on? So we're getting flashbacks of what's actually happened in real life with Sammy in the Inner Circle, with the phone being smashed, but I felt tied in just nicely with what's going on in this fantasy booking of my own with AEW here on TEW 2020. So we get a 68 for that segment. Advances the storyline nicely with the Inner Circle cracks. What is going on? Well, up next is the first women's Casino Ladder match qualified between Chris Statlander and Eva Lise, and it is Chris Statlander that books her place at Double or Nothing, overcoming Eva Lise in 6 minutes 32 after submission. Both very similar with in-ring performances. We get 27 for this match, which does bring the crowd down slightly, which is a bit disappointing, but Chris Statlander going to Double or Nothing. It's announced then that next week's Women's Casino Ladder match qualifier will be between Riho and Hikaru Shida, two former women's champion. Both women almost came to blows last week on Dynamite after they won their tag team match against Britt Baker and Allysin Kay. Now they get to fight it out. Which former women's champion will go on to Double or Nothing to compete in the ladder match? Will it be Shida? Will it be Riho? Should be a quality match, no doubt. Miro and Kip Sabian await in the ring. Cody Rhodes makes his usual entrance from the raised platform. He waits at the top of the ramp for Orange Cassidy, who walks out in his own time from wherever, way in, whatever. Both look at one another. Orange puts his flopped hand out, which Cody touches as both men head towards the ring ahead of this huge tag team match. So Cody teaming up with Orange Cassidy for the first time in AEW's short history. Oh, and it's a good match. Cody Rhodes, Orange Cassidy defeating Miro and Kip Sabian in 12 minutes 13. It was Orange Cassidy that pinned Kip Sabian after a super kick. Super orange kick. In terms of in-ring work, though, Cody Rhodes was head and shoulders above everyone else. Kip Sabian, the weak link, struggling to keep up with everyone else's in-ring performance, but 74 is very respectable. The match getting the crowd interested again, so having to regain their trust almost. And I'm feeling pretty confident that we can with that big main event against Pac and MJF, and we've still got the Elite in action. So what's going to happen then between Cody Rhodes and Orange Cassidy? Well, the tag team match broke down as both Cody Rhodes and Miro did begin to brawl on the outside. That's why Orange Cassidy got the pin on Kip Sabian. Cody and Miro still brawling even after the bell has rung. Miro picks Cody up and slams him through the timekeeper's table. Orange Cassidy slips to the outside, tries to make the save, but fails. Miro clobbers him, taking him out like a freight train. Miro looks like a real monster as he picks up his TNT Championship and makes his way to the back. Trent, Chuck, they both rush out. They don't want anything to do with Miro after already being on the receiving end of one of his beatings a few weeks ago. And they check on Orange and Cody. So it's all heading towards this TNT Championship match. What is going to happen? Who is going to dethrone Miro of his championship? It doesn't look very likely at the moment. And then a sinister promo montage video plays in a dark room. Evil Uno, Stu Grayson are shown sat at a table. The camera is positioned behind a steel chair in which a candidate sits. Evil Uno shakes his head and the candidate stands up and leaves. Then another candidate enters, takes a seat, and after a discussion, leaves. So we are starting to slowly work the Dark Order back into life here in AEW after everything that unfortunately went down with Brody Lee and his unfortunate passing. We've got to rebuild the Dark Order. The Elite, Kenny Omega, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, are seen heading towards the tunnel entranceway. Alex Marvez appears out of nowhere saying, "Kenny, is it possible to get a word from you?" Kenny replies, "You want a word, Marvez? How about bang?" That's the final sound Jon Moxley is going to hear at Double or Nothing when I pull the trigger on his AEW World title reign. Marvez then says, "Can any of you shed any light on what's happening here? You three are about to team up, but it's been obvious over the past few weeks that maybe we could be seeing some sort of, dare I say it, Bullet Club reunion with the Gut Brothers?" Matt smirks and replies, "Well, that'd be up to those boys. If they want to join us, then they're more than welcome. But first, they need to shake loose Punk." The Elite's music begins as they make their way to the ring. We get a 70 rating for this segment with the Elite, who are about to participate in 6-man tag team match. Alex Marvez, we're definitely going to have to play on that, which they seem to be doing at the moment in real life. Marvez just popping out of nowhere, trying to get that ultimate scoop. Well, as expected, the Elite go over. They defeat Eddie Kingston and the Butcher and the Blade in 11 minutes 52. Kenny Omega pinning the Blade with a one-winged angel. Kenny Omega looking unstoppable at the moment. This match lifts the crowd, got them ready and buzzing, which is fantastic to see. They are going to pop for this main event that's coming up soon between Pac and MJF, who makes it to the final of the World Title Eliminator Tournament. So not much else to really say about this match. Eddie Kingston, Butcher and the Blades have joined forces. We've just got to figure out a way of maybe sticking them into maybe a title picture storyline. After the match, Kenny Omega, Matt, Nick Jackson celebrate their win thanks to help from both Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. Gallows and Anderson are on the outside looking in at the Elite. Matt and Nick notice them and walk over to the ropes and open them up, inviting them in. It doesn't take long for Gallows and Anderson to decide what they want to do. They climb into the ring and all five stand together. And after a moment, they throw up the too sweet. CM Punk comes walking out. He climbs into the ring looking at Gallows and Anderson, questioning their decision to leave Culture Shock to join and rejoin their brothers. The Elite look at one another. Then Matt and Nick nail Punk with a super kick party. Then Darby Allin's music hits and he skates down to the ring. He confronts Kenny Omega, who he will face next week in the World Title Eliminator Tournament semi-final. Kenny Omega shoves Darby, who retaliates with a punch, but the Elite gang up on him. They beat him down. The Elite finally exit. Darby slowly gets back to his feet as he watches the Elite leave. So, we get an 83 for this segment. CM Punk left out in the wild now after receiving that super kick party from the Young Bucks. Gallows, Anderson are part of the Elite now, it seems. And Darby Allin throwing the first punch ahead of that second semi-final against Kenny Omega next week in our main event. Well, JR goes on as he looks forward to next week. It's been a wild night here on Dynamite so far, and we still have that huge main event to come between MJF and Pac. The winner goes into the final of the World Title Eliminator Tournament, and they will face either Darby or Omega, a match that will be determined here live next week. Also, the men's and women's Casino Ladder Match qualifiers continue with Hangman Adam Page set to face ACH in a huge showdown after tensions between the three in Private Party lately. And Riho against Shida. Plus, what next for Chris Jericho? I'm getting word that after Sammy decided to quit earlier tonight, he threw a bit of a tantrum backstage. So we'll hear from Chris next week. And finally, this one is huge. After a few accusations on social media, FTR want to prove why they aren't paper champions by challenging one of pro wrestling's well-known tag teams in the Hardys. It's another stacked card for Dynamite as we continue on the road to Double or Nothing. Don't miss it. What a segment rating for JR there. MJF makes his way out to the ring for the main event against Pac. He climbs into the ring and calls for a mic saying, "This past Saturday at Blood and Guts, Wardlow, you made the decision not to earn good money, and that's fine. At the same time, you also pulled a hell of a stunt on me. What a way to thank your former employer, eh? The opportunities I gave you, and you get Death Triangle to attack me as your insurance policy? Well, my insurance policy ahead of this match against the bastard is Private Party and their security. Boys, come on down. I paid them good money to make sure this match goes ahead without any interference." So the Private Party begin to make their way down from their private box with their security, and they file in around the ring. So almost like a lumberjack match, but obviously the security won't be having anything to do with the main event. They're just making sure that Wardlow or Penta, Rey Fenix don't get involved. So they'll all tie in eventually. Death Triangle, MJF, FTR, the three with Hangman Page. Well, anyway, our main event is a superb match as expected. MJF defeats Pac in 14:37 after using a foreign object. He used that Dynamite diamond ring once again. MJF advances through to the final of the World Title Eliminator, and he will now face either Kenny Omega or Darby Allin in the final for a chance of going to Double or Nothing. It gets an 82. The match got the crowd buzzing. You just imagine a match between Pac and MJF would be something special. After the match, MJF celebrates. Pac is disgusted, sitting in the corner. ACH and Will Hobbs climb into the ring and shake hands with MJF. Business is done. Hangman Page makes his way out from the entranceway. Security block the ramp to the ring. Dax and Cash slide into the ring from behind with steel chair in hand. MJF spots this before ACH and jumps in front of him, eating the chair shot to the back. ACH and Hobbs get out of dodge. Angry that they let their guard down, Private Party and their security disperse back through the crowd. Page joins Dax and Cash in the ring. Pac is still sat in the corner. He slowly gets to his feet, anticipating the three to the attack. Penta and Phoenix rush out and join Pac. All six stare at each other for a moment. The three stand down and go to leave the ring. So, the last couple of weeks we would have seen the three coming to blows with Death Triangle. Well, not this time. It seems Hangman Page, Dax and Cash attack Pac, Penta and Rey Fenix. It turns into an all-out brawl, 3v3. The number one contenders for FTR's Tag Team Championships, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, are out next. They hit the ring with momentum after what happened earlier tonight with their reunion with the Good Brothers. Death Triangle exit the ring. The three stare down the Young Bucks. The tension could be cut with a knife. They don't attack, though. Instead, Matt and Nick step towards Hangman Adam Page. Matt sticks out his hand. The Elite looking to bring Page back into the fold? Surely not. Dax and Cash look to Page. Everyone holding their breath. Page looks down at the canvas. When he looks back up, he smirks and sticks his middle finger in the face of Matt Jackson. Dax and Cash laugh at the Young Bucks as the three leave. AEW Dynamite comes to an end. So shades of what happened in real life between, I think it was in the build towards Omega Page against the Young Bucks at Revolution in real life, when Page stuck his middle finger in the face of Matt Jackson. Well, he's done it again here, and I think that pretty much confirms he doesn't want in with the Elite after all. Even after he was watching footage from this past Saturday at Blood and Guts, and we get a 79 for this show, for this episode of Dynamite. That is fantastic. So we had a really strong start, bit of an empty middle. I mean, Janela and Jack Evans was decent. That women's match, bit poor, could have been a lot better, but that tag team match picked things back up, started to regain their trust. Then we got the six-man tag, the Elite, against Kingston, Butcher and the Blade, and that main event, well, an 82, one of our better matches in this save with AEW. Well, let's go and see then how we've done when it comes to ratings and up against NXT this week. Things are really looking good for us now that we have the All Elite Network. So we got a 79 show rating. And this week we achieved a 2.2 TV rating, drawing in 1.6 million viewers. Over on All Elite Network we had 306 tuning in. Over on TNT we had 970,000 tuning in. So it's all looking good at the moment. Hopefully we can continue with this momentum as we head towards Double or Nothing, which is the third week of May. So we've still got quite a lot of shows to get under our belts, and hopefully, as I say, we can continue this momentum. And looking at NXT, we've blown them out of the water again this week when it comes to show rate, and they scored a 73, and they achieved a 2.01 TV rating, which saw only 1.5 million viewers tuning in. So we've beaten them on show rating and TV rating this week. Looking at their BT Sport subscription, they only have 50,000 subscribers watching NXT this week. When you consider our All Elite Network, which is mainly to cater for our audience in the UK, we're drawing in 306,000 a week, which is crazy. Well, anyway, that is it. It's been a long episode of Dynamite. I do hope you guys have enjoyed, and I will see you all back here very soon for Dark. Thanks for watching.